Dee
Hello,
What's
Didi.
up?
Hi.
My favorite player. Well, in isolation at least.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Today we will be interviewing, well, first of all, the winner of Online Isolation, but also a contestant in Online Survival Season 2. Didi, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been busy a lot. Just, packing up and stuff, getting ready to go across the country. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Mm.
Well, I always like to start these by asking about your original team before I turn it over to the great debate that I'm sure will happen. I know you wanted some answers yourself, but first we'll talk a little bit about Team Rona. I'd like to ask if anything's changed since you've watched them. I guess we'll go ahead and start with Carrie with a K.
Oh, Barbie doll. Nothing's changed because, like, when I first met her, it seems like, I don't know if she was trying too hard, but it's the same thing. She's funny, but it's just the same feeling.
I think she was just trying too hard to cause
Yeah,
chaos.
she did too much.
What about Carrie with a C?
Carrie with the C. I remember the time in one of the episodes she called me medium or something like that. How competitive was I? She said medium. That's funny because she didn't do good in her challenges, but it's good. It's fine.
How about Q?
I still talk to Q every now and then. She's real cool. She's really smart. She gives me Katherine Johnson vibes, like mad scientist.
And lastly, a good old Patty.
Patty, I love Patty. I still talk to Patty too. Yeah, he's my dog. We seen his stuff on Instagram. He be clicking and everything. Yeah.
I also want to talk a little bit about Patty and why do you think you guys seem to connect so well early in the
I don't
game?
know. I have no idea. I just know he showed me that Ice Cube tattoo, and I'm like,
That's
West.
really what did it for you.
Yeah, because I'm from the East Coast, but I'm like West Coast all the time and stuff. And he showed me Ice Cube. I was like, oh, because from looking at him when I first saw him, I'm thinking like, oh, this guy's a hunter. He talking about traveling and stuff. He goes shooting rabbits or like deer or some stuff. So when I found out he had like hip hop influence, that was dope.
I think it was one of the more genuine connections in the game, I feel.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I do have a few more questions, but if any of you guys have a question before the whole debate, please go ahead and ask.
Why are you hyping that up?
Oh, I'm hyping it up because it's been the comment argument for like 3 podcasts now.
Yeah. So Didi, I haven't really talked to you since we got to interview for Online Isolation, which you were one of my favorite players in that game. I'm kind of wondering how this game is different for you from Online Isolation.
Really, I'm taking the same concept. Keep in mind, I haven't seen any like to this day, I haven't even seen a Survivor trailer. So I was just taking the format of that game to this one. So it's really not this. It's really not different, but it's not the same either. If that makes sense.
No, I get it. So I guess kind of like your opinions of your tribe mates. Was there anyone that else that you were like really surprised by when you're watching the season? On anyone?
Besides Rona, like overall.
Yeah, just like the whole
Okay.
game. Anyone surprise you?
Elizabeth, like she's actually smart. I didn't think that when I saw her the first time. I thought she was just as clueless as I was, but she's actually smart.
Girls rocking a PhD.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people felt that way looking at
Yeah,
the
I'm like,
challenge this week.
I was like, this Elizabeth? Elizabeth? Hazelnut Elizabeth? I was like, wow.
So I want to go back to that round where you were almost a target. Carrie, Alex, Q were discussing the possibility of voting you out. What are your thoughts on that now after watching it back?
I called that shit. I knew what was going on. Like I could tell when a person is lying most of the time. Carrie, I'm just Like, she's a good person or whatever, but she needs to get a better acting class if she's gonna lie and stuff, so I can actually believe her. Like, she needs to take the acting class that Alex take, because Alex, oh, he is great at lying. So she needs to take that same acting class. But I called that shit from the jump.
If Alex would have told you the whole thing, would you have changed your vote from Maury to somebody else?
Yes, it would have been Carrie with the K. That's why I was telling him in the live chat, I was like, you could have saved Ori, because I definitely was going to get Carrie if somebody else was going to agree with it.
Was that the round that came down to the coin flip?
Yeah, but I
well,
recanted
almost.
on the coin flip. Like, Alex won the coin flip to eliminate it, but I switched it because I was trying to think in the future, like, we might need him. So that's what happened with that.
Do you regret changing the coin flip?
No, not really. Because it would have been a whole different game.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you
coin
think he did benefit you up to this point?
Yeah, because I was in touch with Q, and Q was like the glue between us. So I guess that benefited in some way besides him backstabbing Patrick. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, but I really liked it when you changed the target off of him, because like a coin flip is a really, really stupid way to decide something like that. So putting your foot down was a great moment.
The irony of you saying that.
How did you feel about the Patty blindside? Speaking of that, watching it back, how did you feel about it?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do in this game, but I'm big on liars. So you could have just told him, like, up front you were going to vote for him. Like Elizabeth, when she did with Meg, I didn't know she told Meg. Like, it's like she implied it. So it's not like she was lying to Meg. So, but I just think it was unnecessary to get Patrick out anyway. The smartest thing was to get me out if you wanted to weaken Q, but I guess they didn't think like that.
I do agree with that. They weren't
Yeah.
thinking.
Wow. Me and Dee Dee agree on something.
You had a really great line, and I believe this episode, where you were like, I can alter people's perceptions of me so that they think I'm a lot more out of it than I am, but they need to watch out. Is that kind of a philosophy you use commonly?
Yes, I use it a lot, actually. People, like, at work, people try to explain stuff to me that I already know, and I just be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Was that your plan with the Michael Jordan rings question?
You're funny, Davis. I forgot. I didn't know that. I knew it, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't realize it after the fact, because I put up the 3. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I said shit. I had to think about it. When I saw the 6, I was like, damn. But the same thing with Madonna. It's just,
It's tough being on the spot, in the middle of those challenges. Like sometimes your mind just goes completely blank.
Well, Dee, I know you had some questions of your own, which is why you wanted this interview. So if you
Oh, she requested it.
yes.
I got the question right here.
She has a whole page. Go
Got
right
it.
ahead.
Let's get started. Okay. I just want to be clear, like, what's the definition of a GOAT per se? Like, is a GOAT making it to the final without getting any votes, or is it just making it to the finals and not winning?
Let him answer that one.
It's kind of like in Survivor, a GOAT is generally someone that most people in the game think they can beat. So that person usually is in most people's like, I want to take them to the end so I can beat them. That's kind of like what a GOAT is. People who have been considered GOATs have won, but generally speaking, it's someone who has little to no chance of winning as the game stands.
Okay.
Did they win because of bitter jury, or like what was just one example of that?
Well, I think I guess I'll pull up some spoilers for Survivor Samoa, but in Samoa, Natalie White wins despite Russell, who dragged her to the end, thinking, oh, I'm going to beat Natalie because she's so easy to beat. But it turns out people liked Natalie because she was likable And she had her hand in some very important votes that he didn't factor that in. So people can underestimate their opposition. And then if you want me to point to goats who don't win, there's a lot of them. I mean, you look at I don't know. We'll go to a recent season, season 39. You had like Nora, who she wasn't gonna win.
And Winners at War, what was the third place? What was her name?
Michelle.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you start calling Michelle a goat, you're gonna have some people busting down your door.
Michelle deserves some votes, but
Yeah, she did. I mean, goats can get votes. I mean, it's kind of like a loose definition. There's no people argue about it all the time.
Okay. I just needed that clarification. Okay. Dazed. You said, when I said biased and hypocritical, like it's no secret. Everybody know you love Jake for some reason. I don't know why. The D1 player. Let's see. What because like I know once you were like, Jake just needs to lay low and just enjoy the ride. But then you turn around and be like, well, Didi needs to make a move. Can you tell me what move Jake made?
Well, he's won. He won a competition or two, didn't he? Or came close. But he secured himself to somebody, powerful that he was a bigger target than him. But it's not that I really love Jake. Just I needed him to sit back and not, make any waves in order for him to get to the end, because he was becoming kind of a big target aligned with Meg. For you, at the beginning, saying that you needed to lay low was because you came out of the gate saying that you did really well in online isolation, and I thought that was such a bad move to make. I wasn't the only one who thought that. So, but I still do think that you need to make some moves, mainly winning a competition, or swaying the vote in your direction. Like this latest vote, you were the only one to vote for Elizabeth. If a big move for you would have been getting everybody to pile on and actually get her out, like guiding the vote to get out your target, kind of like what Alex has been doing. That's what I think of as being a big move.
Okay.
Let's also not forget there is an idol, and some of the biggest moves can be correctly playing an idol.
That was one of my questions I had for Didi. Was there any chance that you were actually going to play the idol for Q? Did that ever?
No, because she told me, like before she told me everybody was targeting Jake. So I was like, no point of playing it.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't play it, because I think you should always keep those advantages for yourself, regardless. Like if you're not playing for yourself in the game.
I don't know if I agree with that. Dennis. Not an idol anyway.
Right.
Yeah, next question.
Okay, we're going to move to Dot. I love Dot. Let me go ahead and get that out the way. I really don't think he made a big move, because most of his move was stupid and like pointless. So can you tell me what big move Dot made?
I don't know if he's making moves, but I would say they're kind of reckless. I don't know if he gets to the end if he necessarily wins. I think he would have to be up against you or Hassan, maybe Elizabeth. But he's making moves, they're just not doing them very well. He's kind of flashy with his moves, which makes for great entertainment. I'm not gonna lie, but it's risky the way he's playing.
I would say Dot. Go ahead, Didi.
That's what I was talking about when I was like, y'all, like you and Aspen, that's her name, right? Aspen was trying to make it seem like I was the worst player in the game. And I know for a fact it wasn't me. It's like 2 other players that was left in that game before the last round that was worse than me. And I was like, y'all guessing that I'm like the worst player in the game right now. And I know Dot is one of them, and Jake, because in my eyes, all Jake did okay, if Aspen sees this, Aspen, a sheep is a person that does whatever somebody tells them all the time. That's a sheep. That's why I got confused when y'all said goat for the first time on this podcast, because it was said right after y'all was talking about how Rayleigh was doing what Meg said. That's why I got confused.
No, Rayleigh is a sheep. You are not a
Yeah,
sheep.
that's why I
And
got confused by it.
your votes show that. Like, you have gone against what the majority has wanted to do several times, I think, especially with this last vote. But let's kind of clear up all of this about you playing a bad game or not. One of my questions that I had for you was, if the game was to end now, as it stands, where everybody's in, and you were in the final, what would be your pitch to the jury as to why you should win?
Because I am basically going against everybody who live and breathe survival, Alex. So for me to last this long and not have any like platform or anything like that, basically coming in blind and I'm still here, that would be a plus for my resume or whatever.
And that's it.
Well, you're not the jury. I'm sure she'd have more to say in the actual moment. Yeah, I mean, it is very impressive to not know a lot about the show and come in and be able to do well in a format that you are not at all familiar with. And I mean, I have to agree that coming in and saying you had done really, really well in the past was probably not the best thing you did. But hell, you recovered really well. Like, there are not a lot of people I think that could have somehow, some way made it this far, like on the start that you had with not knowing the show, saying you were done really well, being in the tribe you were in, which it was a little bit of a crazy affair a lot of the time. So very impressive.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like, again, I do love you as a person, and I want to see you go far. I said that at the beginning, but I do still think you need to do more. I think you need to win a competition, which sometimes, if you make it this far, the best competitions to win are the down the stretch comps to secure your place in the final. But I also want to see you get out one of your targets, getting the votes the way you want them to go. And I think that's one of the moves that you need to make in order to secure jury votes in the final. Otherwise, I think you could just be taken to the end as a goat, as somebody everyone else could win against.
All right, so kind of a little side note is I noticed you mentioning that you show up to a lot of the challenges tipsy. Are you employing the Patty strategy where you think that makes you better at the challenges?
I think that's why we got along so well. I didn't know he was on the same medication and meditation stuff. That's crazy. Because I didn't even remember the trivia one. When I was like, this must be the dumb group, the group I was in, I didn't even remember that challenge. I'm like, oh, okay.
Speaking of challenges, though, which has been your favorite or your least liked, and do you consider any of the challenges that you've been in to be crapshoots?
He's done this crapshoot question.
My favorite is the charades game. I
That
think
was
that
good.
is that the first game. That's my favorite. And the worst, that damn helicopter.
That one's been hit or miss. Like, who was it? Patty said he loved that one.
I hate
But
it.
Harry did too with a K. I know that.
I
But
hate it.
the people worst at competitions seem to enjoy the helicopter game, I guess.
Really? Elizabeth must love that game.
Man.
Dee Dee, did you have any more questions on that list?
Oh yeah, speaking of Elizabeth, not talking about the last episode because I didn't know she did that last episode. But other than that, like when the discussion about who needs to do more, what did Elizabeth do before last night?
Who you talking to me?
Anybody?
Spinner's here, so you might need to ask her some questions too.
As far as Elizabeth goes right now, I don't think she can win the game. She is another one that needs to get some competition wins. She has kind of survived some iffy votes. Like, her name's been thrown out there a couple times and she survived, but I do think she needs to win a competition or two to win win the game in the end.
So why wasn't she called a GOAT?
She's probably going to be a GOAT. She has that potential.
Okay.
She's been more of a target than you have in that instance. Like, she's had votes cast against her. Like, that's going, like, if I compare like Q and Alex, like, I both think they can win the game, but if they're both in the final, I think Alex should win because Q has had the target. Like, he's made it through the entire game without anybody really coming after him, although he has lied the entire game.
Sometimes it can be.
Motherfucker.
I think I mean, every jury's so different. Some juries will respect the fact that you've been targeted, like you have Dee over and over and over again, and yet somehow you survive. And it seems like most people don't even seriously consider you as a target a lot of the time. And that's pretty impressive. And some juries will respect that. And some juries will respect the fact that you're not targeted at all. So it really is, as your favorite word, a crapshoot sometimes. I mean, I feel like I might be alone that I think everyone in the game depending on what happens in the next few weeks, has a chance of winning.
It's definitely subjective. Like, it's very subjective. So don't again, we've all said this in the podcast, don't take what we say personally. We're just giving our thoughts on how the game is being played. So
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry I'm late, but what's up, Dee?
Hello.
husband.
Yeah, I guess I wanna second that too. You know, like, I honestly, as a person, I think you're a cool person. I think we would probably get along. We both from Georgia, so I know that we have a connection. But as far as in the game, I just feel like, and honestly, this episode, I'm glad I made it, because this episode it was like a few questions where you was like, dang, I can't believe people voted me as that. And then I'm like, well, that's what we mean when we say GOAT, you know, like, you would have to do more if you get to the end to get votes, because what is on your resume right now, you know? So, like, I guess that's what I was trying to say when I refer to you as a GOAT, you know, just kind of getting drug along a little bit, you know, just here for the ride, I guess.
I
That
think
was
Q said
the
that
issue
too.
was the issue was like it was just me and Hassan, the only ones being called GOAT, but it's like two more GOATs there if we're going to talk about the real definition of it. But it was like the gaslighting of me being a GOAT, and I really didn't know what GOAT was.
Wait, so who else are the two
Well,
other?
she did bring up Jake earlier, Jake not
Yeah,
doing anything in the game, which I
But
kind of
you-
agree with.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he was a GOAT for Meg, absolutely. He was Meg's GOAT until Meg got cut. Yeah, honestly, I'm happy to see Jake go. That you already know.
Shut up,
Jake,
Aspen.
if you tell, but yeah.
But it's interesting to see, because if he really wasn't doing anything, why was he such a huge target? Other than him being the tag-along for Meg. Like, it's all subjective. And Aspen bringing up the competition, you know, a lot of your castmates kind of apparently have the same thought process as we do, other than Mike, by the way they answered the questions. And even Q said she thinks she need to do more in the game in order to get a win in the end. So
Q said I should do more. Not I should. She said I could possibly do more. She didn't say I have to do more. And just be honest, I love Q, but Q was just saying it so she can get my idol. That's all that was.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one there.
Like-
in that moment.
And the other person, like before last night, because I didn't know she did it, was Elizabeth. Why wasn't she labeled a GOAT? Because she was coming last or damn near last in every competition where I was like at least top 5.
to be fair, I didn't have a lot to say about Elizabeth in the early podcast because I thought she was just non-existent. I was ready to see her go. I had her on my list to be next voted out several times. So
You had me on that list
Yeah,
2
we-
days.
I will say devil's advocate with this being the touchy subjects challenge is like sometimes people who really want to win the challenge, like I know Alex talked about, really wanting to win a challenge, is they're not going to say what they really think. They're going to say what they think everyone else is going to think come the time to flip up the cards at the thing. So that might not necessarily be their real opinion. That might just be, okay, I think people don't like this person, so they hold the card up and they're hoping they get points for that.
Well, I meant more about the majority vote, like who answered the majority before they, held up their cards.
Right.
Because I'm sure it's not holding up, a negative name against, or holding up a name for a target of mine that's a negative question. But I will answer that way when I'm answering in private.
Yeah. And there were some that like one person got right when it was like, and the majority was this, and like everyone else was holding up something totally different. And I thought that those were always funny.
Yeah,
It is a great challenge, though. This is one of my favorites.
that was interesting. So Didi, what was your like strategy as far as like how you answered questions? Was you answering it how you felt, or like how you felt everybody else was gonna feel, or just like you didn't want to piss nobody off? Like,
I don't give a damn about pissing nobody off. But it started off, I was answering my own answers. I was like, wait a minute. Like I had everybody name written down because I just had left the beach that day. So I didn't have paper, but I didn't have my name written down. I was like, maybe I should write my name down. And like the very next question was, who doesn't know what they're doing? I was the answer, and I put my name up because like at first I wasn't playing to win, but I was playing to see how people felt, because if it wasn't the majority answer, that tells me that that was your answer. Like if you put in my name up for every negative thing, then that was your answer to the questions in private. So that's what I was doing. That's why I gave Elizabeth a plus instead of a minus.
Speaking of the pluses, that was such a brilliant move by Nick, just to prolong the game and allow more questions to be answered.
Yeah, it got a little messy for that.
a little.
When everyone has full pluses, I can't minus anyone. That was funny.
Yeah.
Or half the one. Yeah, that was just
But
great.
I wanted to say, this is what I really wanted to point out. Didi, I thought it was so fucking funny when you was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I really don't. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about right there, like that.
You need to say that then. Say Didi don't know what the fuck she doing.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for Aspen? You're grilling me over here.
It was the same questions for you. I asked, what did Jake do? Because when Days was like, I need to make some more big moves, I asked him, I said, what big move did Jake do besides being a sheep?
He's pretty.
Well,
that wins you votes in the end.
Wow.
Yeah, not with that jawline. No, I think Jake just honestly, man, I think the smartest thing he did was honestly saying that, oh man, we probably should split the votes. I thought that was a big move of him being like, man, like like just him getting Meg to getting Meg, but to give Jake the secret advantage of to switch somebody's vote to use on you, I guess. And then yeah, I guess I felt like that was kind of a move in itself, and how he played that, like you kind of was like, so who did it? And then he's sitting there looking guilty to me. But
yeah, I caught it. I caught it.
Yeah, so that was interesting. That was a move I feel like was, it wasn't the best, but it was a move.
What about Elizabeth? I don't know if you were here when I asked that. Besides last night, like before last night.
I feel like her trying to go against Meg is when I kind of was like, oh, okay, Elizabeth, you might be onto something, like when she tried and then she failed, which was sad. I kind of looked at her as more strategic when she was thinking like, man, I need to start getting these people out because such and such and such and such. So I'm like, yeah, all right, now you coming to play the game. Now you realizing what you got to do to win and make a big move, even though she didn't really get to put it on her resume. She tried, and then, even she was successful the next time with Q, but Q probably honestly would get more credit for that move than Elizabeth would, in my opinion.
So Aspen, I want to see if you agree with this, because this is kind of what the move I told Didi she needed to make. Looking at this last vote when she was the only one to vote Elizabeth, a big move in my eyes is recognizing who is your threat, targeting them and getting everybody to vote them out also. That's what I consider to be a move.
Yes.
And I've yet to see Didi do that. Well, the whole coin flip thing, yeah, kind of. But this, like, Elizabeth was her obvious target. If she succeeded with getting everybody to help get Elizabeth out, I would have been like, that's a solid move. That's something that you can vocalize in the final as to why you should win.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I also feel like it was interesting that you and Q had the conversation, and she's like, look, you can do whatever you want to do, vote how you want to vote, you know, like if you feel like you need to vote that bitch out, vote that bitch out. And so I'm like, okay, but I feel like that was a bad move for you to write her name down, even though you didn't have no numbers behind you, you know, like I feel like that wasn't I just feel like that wasn't the most opportune moment to like vocalize that you're going against her, because she didn't know that. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but Dot fucked up, and ain't even gonna go there, but yeah. So.
That was the other person. Actually, I was like, what did Dot do besides dumb shit? That's why I was like, it seemed like y'all was only saying, like, basically saying I'm the worst player in the game when it's Dot, clearly. That's why I'm like, okay, they calling me this and that and the goat and stuff, but this dummy over here is making all these unrational ass plays and stuff, and nobody's talking about it. That's all.
I love Didi so much.
Listen, I am team fuck Dot. Okay, I'm not team. I'm team fuck Dot, because he been on my bad side lately. I feel like he is playing a stupid ass game. Like, what are you doing? I agree with you. He hadn't made moves, but the thing is, Dot has aligned himself and his social game. I would say y'all social game is, you know, like, I don't feel like nobody, well, until now, I didn't feel like nobody directly like disliked you because of conversations they had with you. So I would say that you was playing a, you know, like, okay, social game. You're a sociable person, you know, and like it reminds me of me. And so I feel like Dot is just, I mean, he just played a good game to where he positioned himself on the side of the numbers. And he even pulled off getting Patty out. Even though that was like a whack ass move, it was a move. He made it. He succeeded, you know, and like that was kind of your number one. I mean, I don't know if it's your number one. Would you say Patty is your number one?
I would say Patty is my side chick and Q is my wife.
Oh,
Okay.
So kind of segueing that into a question that I wanted to ask, which is, do you value loyalty a lot? Because it seems like you are very, very loyal to Q and Patty before he went. And you have a dislike of Dot. And it seems to me like Dot has loyalty to an idea that is continually sinking further into the sea. Like he's continually trying to save something that is unsavable. Your thoughts on that?
What was that again?
You got cut off a little, Mike.
Oh, well, I just you value loyalty. I think Dot's valuing his own weird form of loyalty to like this idea of a sinking ship. What are your thoughts on that?
That's what I was talking about in the comments. I was like, that is the worst player in this game right now. I think he was trying to do too much. I think he saw like, did he watch Survivor? I'm not sure. Did he watch Survivor? Oh, I think he was trying to do what everybody else was doing, but people need to realize what somebody else do, you might not be built for that shit. Like he was trying to do what Alex do, and he wasn't built for it. So he's just gonna keep thinking, I guess. Unless he got
I wanted to see him turn on Meg and Jake. Like I thought that was the game move that could really solidify a win for him, was if he was to get to the end. But he didn't do it. He broke my heart. I wanted to see him to backstab some folks.
Well, we're running low on time here. Any quick last questions for Didi, or Didi for anyone else?
Do I have any more questions?
Let's get into the dragging of other players. Like I'm ready for it from Didi.
What?
Oh man.
Dragging of other players. I'm trying to see. You weren't here, Aspen, when I was asked what would be on my resume. I I haven't seen any episode of Survivor at all, not even a trailer. So I would say that me lasting at least this long against people who have lived and breathed that shit would be something on my resume. But Dace was like, and what else? Like, okay. you want a trophy? Shot
Honestly,
down my dreams.
yeah, I know, right? That's fucked up. No, you do get credit for lasting this long because it is outwit, outplay, outlast, you know, and so like you have outlasted a lot of players. And yeah, I feel like that is something to be proud of. And dang, honestly, knowing that you never watched Survivor, I honestly take back some of the stuff I said because
Oh.
because it's like it's a mental game and it's like I don't know, I've watched all seasons of Survivor, you know, I'm always repping. So like to me, like I just think about the game different and how other players play it. But like, yeah, honestly, my advice would be just to try to watch an episode one day, you know, like and see if you like it. But yeah, I respect how you played and I'm glad that you made it this far. Honestly, however far you make it, that shit is gonna be dope because you never seen this or you never done something like this. So yeah, respect, man.
Here's something you can
and
add
I
to your
didn't have to
resume.
lie. I didn't have to lie either, Alex.
True.
I didn't have to lie not once.
True.
You can add those to your resume. I agree that you're honest and you are very loyal, and that is something to be respected in
Yeah.
the game because that's a very difficult game to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even think of nobody who's played a straight up honest game in Survivor. So yeah. And not one.
Okay.
Lastly, I will say that in the end, this is still a social game as well. So the social game does have to count for something. And is it enough to always win in the end? Maybe not, but maybe it is. It really depends on the jury. It's always a jury. Well, lastly, Didi, we play this game where the first word that comes to mind when I mentioned a player in the game. So we'll go ahead and begin with, we'll start with Jake. Why not?
Overrated.
Hassan.
A ghost? I don't know.
How about Rayleigh?
Motherfucker. I just said motherfucker.
How about Meg?
Meg. Oh, Meg. Boss. She's a boss.
How about Elizabeth?
I don't want to say what Meg said, but that's the first thing that came to my mind, though. I just say allergies.
How about Carrie with a C?
Quiet, I guess. I don't know. Can't remember her.
How about Carrie with a K?
When I like Barbie doll frat, like sorority Barbie doll.
How about Patty?
Homie.
How about Q?
Genius.
How about Alex?
I got a whole bunch of words for him. I just go with conniving, lying, snake.
And lastly, Dot.
Try hard.
With his 100 push-ups.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I got to end it there, Didi. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking our criticisms in stride. Like you did well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
sure.
you.